Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm your host, SmilePie, and today we're playing Railway Empire 2. So this is episode 9 in our series on scenario 1, and let's start by reviewing our task list. So we've got a number of tasks that we need to get done, and what I want to focus on first up is getting New York up to 70,000. So in order to do that, we're going to need to run some freight trains into New York. So that means building. I want to build a new freight station and a new freight line into New York. In addition to that, we'll also be uh, looking at our supply capacity and seeing if there's any bottlenecks there and running all the goods that we need to get into New York to grow that to 70,000 as fast as possible. And then along the way, we'll also deliver those 8 loads of salt. After that, we'll be focusing on opening up the Philadelphia region and creating an express train for Boston, Philadelphia. And then if we've got any spare cash, we'll keep buying Barty's stock because that's easy to do. So let's unpause the game time, and we'll start off by having a look at the bigger picture. So you can see New York's down here where my mouse is circling, and my plan is to put a freight train station on the outside here on the western side of town. And if I was to zoom back out, that freight line would then run up here, and I want to get under the passenger line and tie into that main freight line there. So that would enable us to have freight trains running from Albany and from Boston and any other businesses that we need to. I guess while we're out on this view, I'm noticing here that there's a fair few trains queued up waiting to get into Albany Express. So let's just add some tracks here so we can make it a 4-platform station. It's just quick and easy. So there's no big intricacies on this one. So let's expand that gridiron. So cut off our DAGs. Be gone, DAGs. And they're gone. And we'll expand the other end as well because why not? Now, again, like I've said in one of the previous episodes, this connection between Syracuse and Albany is only a temporary one because we're going to. Can we make it? We just can. That's really lucky. Yeah, so this connection out here is only a temporary one. At some stage, we'll be running the express line or the passenger line, yeah, onto its own station into Syracuse, but not for a while, and maybe not at all, because we may complete the scenario before that becomes an issue. But now we've created those additional platforms. We've got our passenger trains going in there. They're all, this one's chockers, all but one carriage, so that's coming along all right. And then we've got our other carriages here. So Boston to Albany, that's going to head back, and let's have a quick ride along with these boys. So the good thing about riding along with the passengers is you can actually see the passengers, but for some reason we can't go inside the carriage. We're on the outside. So these earlier trains, they have a different setup. So they're not quite as like the carriages that we would know and love today. So anyway, this is our Boston to Albany train. So let's jump out of that. Fun's over. Wow, not quite. Look at this. These boys are fanging it. It's bloody 38 k's an hour. So that's that's about what you'd do when you're driving through a school zone. So there we go. Now let's get back to business. We need to create our freight station and make our freight connections. So I'll start by building a station. The second, our second station down in Albany, or not Albany, New York. So that will be our freight connection. And let's run that let's run that rail line up. Let's put the topography on so we see what we're doing. Now we want to dodge the hill. So let's make a straight bit the way that SmilePie likes. At 0 grade, we'll make a second platform or second track. And now we don't really want to make a tunnel this early, do we? But we do need to get under. So there will be some fiddling about with this one. It's unavoidable. So I'm already up to 350 grand in tunnels. So that's just too much. We're not going to do that. And let's continue by making that. Maybe we do a bridge. That could be a way to go. We're going to bridge this. This is super easy. A bridge is way easier than a tunnel. So look at that. We are loving it. So look, we've got 2% here and 4% there. If I adjust that, we get 3 and 3. That'll do. We're spending 51 grand on a bridge, so that's bugger all. And let's see if we can do anything with this. So our bridge alignment is just a little bit skew. Should I explain the word skew? It's a bit of an Australian word. I don't know how all of you bloody foreigners so we can understand it or refer to it, but skew means a bit something that's a little bit something that's a bit off, so a bit unaligned. Let's get rid of that. 4%. Don't like it. But I don't want to spend all this time fiddling with something that's not that important. But I think we can live with all of that. So let's do that. I'm going to duplicate the track now, so we'll get a Oh, look at this little bridge here. So those of you who were looking over my shoulder, you didn't see me point at the screen with my finger. So no, SmilePie doesn't get a seat on the bus for that. So let's, I'll just move that out the way for now by demolishing it, the supply tower, but I'll be putting it back. And then this is, can we get a max curvature? I don't know if we can. It's going to be a real shame if we don't. I think it's going to be a real shame. Oh well, look, sometimes in life you can't have everything you want. I know the alphas out there will be saying, no, that's loser talk. Only a loser would say such a thing, but I'm more of a realist. So nobody gets everything they want all of the time. Sometimes you just have to be patient or adjust. So, so there we go. We've got our nice new freight connection. Good on yous. I'm going to pause this. Oh, no, I don't need to pause it. Let's rename New York City Free to New York City Freight. There we go. And we will add a maintenance depot because we need it. So boom, maintenance depot. And we will add a warehouse while we're here, while I'm thinking of it. Don't know what we're going to put in there, but doesn't matter. We're going to have it. This New York station doesn't have a maintenance depot either, so let's add that. And that is good for now. Did we add a gridiron? We did not. So I'll be expanding this to multiple tracks in the near future. But let's start some freight trains, some F2 trains to be specific. Actually, and before I forget, before we start flooding this and using up all the demand here, let's buy those industries, at least this one. So that's going to be a bargain. We're going to get that easy. So that'll come in at under 100. Yeah, I was going to say under 199, and there we go. 194. And what do we pay for a fashion industry in this town? Oh, it's a bloody bargain. Look at that. We're going to pay 99 grand-ish. No, 110-ish. Yeah. Should have backed myself. 95 grand. So there you go. Smile pie. Your arithmetic is a bit ordinary today. What's going on, champ? Bloody nothing's going on. So we've got these two rural businesses that we purchased earlier in the game and we didn't utilize until now. So I think the connection that we'll do will be to build a station, probably a station for each one, and then we can have one main line which will tie into this track here, and we'll be able to send this wool to New York, the wood to New York, and the wood can go to other places where we need it as well. So we'll work that out. Other places, we'll work that out later on. But for now, let's get some F2 trains going. So we will start by having an F2 train from Boston Freight, and we will put one going to New York City Freight. So we've got our nice connection through there. So let's make it a freight train. Let's give it a naming convention. So F2, that's all we need to do. Let's leave the freights in the name there. It's a Dunham. Let's have a look at the quarterly balance while we're here. So you can see our freight numbers are way up, passengers up, mails up, production is down, but that's because I suspect we've got a few bottlenecks in the system. That was our free bonus that we got for doing nothing. So good on us and good on the game. Costs are down, but that miscellaneous cost was us buying the license fee to get access into Ontario. So let's keep moving. So we were halfway through building a train and it bloody disappeared. So how annoying. So Boston Freight to New York Freight. So Dunham, let's have two. They're freighties. F2 done. We got no special cars. We don't need to do anything here. Click confirm and la-da-dee, la-da-da. So Albany, you're next. So Albany Freight to New York Freight. That's good. So we want an F2. We want it to be a Dunham train. we're going to have 2, and we'll have freight. So that's all good. Now I'll just check on our passenger station. So we've got 4 coming from each, and you can see that in total the line is generating 28 grand each. So if you divide that by 4 trains, we're bringing in approximately 7 grand per train. So that's not bad. That's not bad. So that is that. And so let's do this connection here. So New York itself, if we were to examine the needs that we're fulfilling, so we're loaded with wool and with wood, but we're not exactly transporting them there ourselves. So we'll need to build that up. I've got some research points. So parcel drops increases the amount of packages in all cities with one of your train stations by 5%. So it gives us extra mail. So I think it's worthwhile doing, and that leads onto the mail car. So let's do that. The other way we could have gone to the Derwent. It's a slower freight train. It's a little bit better in reliability, but I don't know. Let's keep moving. So now, one of the other bottlenecks that we've got, this corn. This is our only corn, and we're pretty. What does this say? Our values reach $38.9 million. So we're killing it in terms of our stock and company value. So we're doing all right. So if we were to upgrade the corn business, it's going to cost us 343,000, which we'll have momentarily. So let's do that because we're pretty short on corn. Syracuse is not growing, but that's not so much of a problem. New York is not growing. That is a problem. So what do we need in New York? We need corn. We need grain. So let's run a grain train. How are we going for grain here? We're short on grain there. Albany has a lot of grain. So what we can do is, I think we'll run some more of, we'll start using this grain that's up here that we haven't touched. We'll run that down to Albany, and we'll also run some grain from this station down to New York. And then in addition, we'll also run a corn train down to New York as well. So let's start with the corn train. So that station down to New York Freight, and you'll see that it will travel through the Albany Freight Station and then come along our freight main line and into New York there. So let's set this up for corn. We're going to maximize it. Let's change the name here to F1 corn, and it's running to New York City Freight. We'll leave it as New York City Freight. We only need one. It's a freight. Let's start that. So we've got 7 corn in our farm at the moment. So that new train that we've just started, you can see it's getting loaded up now. It will fill up, and we'll be laughing. Now we've got this wheat farm here as well. It's full of grain. It's a level 1. So are we even utilizing that? Let's have a look. We've got 1 wheat coming out of it. So now being interrupted, we've got a grain farm near Ottawa. So where is that? It's out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm not going to buy it because it's just too far away. Anyway, back to our grain farm. So we've hardly used this grain farm properly. So what I'll do is I will start a New York train. New York grain will come from here. So that's easier and quicker. Or it's not easier and quicker. It kind of irritates but this one's already being utilized. So let's just utilize that. It won't make too much difference. So let's do another train from there to New York Freight. Let's select grain. We only need one. So this is going to be an F1 wheat, wheat, and it's going to be freight and Dunham and one, and boom, boom, we're going. Albany, 120,000. We're getting big in Albany, but we can get bigger if we were so inclined to do so. So other bottlenecks that we can see in Albany, furniture and cheese. So we're producing zero point 0.8, but if we look at the demand for those goods just in Albany alone, they're asking for 1.2 units of cheese and 1.2 units of furniture. So we could expand our production of those items in Albany if we wanted to. So just out of interest, let's have a look at the price of that. It will cost us an extra 500,000 to do that. So we'll come back to that. Let's establish these connections first. So we've got wheat and grain coming to New York. That will help New York grow. We need sugar. We need beer. Meat's been picked up. We're getting all of these, so fruit, milk, and veggies. So I'd say the F2 trains are taking effect because you'll note that we have actually no, the F2 or the milk would be coming from the other competitors' rail line most likely. So our milk, we can probably expand that a bit more because again we're at our capacity. But let's establish this connection now. So we need a station, one or two stations. I think just one. Let's not be overly complicated. So we'll do topography. We'll do that. I wonder what level we're going to be at. So oh my God, look at this. We have built up. We are up in the air. Anyway, maybe let's realign that because that's a little bit outrageous. So topography on. Um, don't like it. Don't like anything. That's another thing. As you get into middle age, don't like anything. Just a grumpy old bastard. That's what you are, smile pie sometimes. Shush. Ah, just bloody look at that. We have to build a bloody bridge. That's shit. Anyway, what can you do? What can you do instead? You could build a north south aligned station and then have curves and all sorts of bullcrap, which would look silly. But I'm not bloody doing this, am I? No. So let's do that curved station like we're talking about. Actually, that'd be a good idea. Developers can, or would it be a good idea? Maybe it's not a good idea. Would a curved station be a good idea? I don't know. I'm skeptical. It's my idea, and I'm skeptical. So what does that tell you? Let's place this, and we will have to. We will have to curve ourselves around to cross the river, and then to tie into our main freight line, and I just want this bloody thing straight. Yeah, there we go. So now, look at this. Absolute bullshit. Language, smile pie. It's not so bad now. Let's it'll do. It'll do. So let's build that, and we're going to let's. It's going to be on the outside. Let's duplicate that first. And now actually, that's not even going to work. What? Why? Come on, game. Give me a break, will ya? All right, that'll do. Let's just build that. Let's keep going. And put the direction of travel on. There we go. So that will take wood and wool down to New York. And I also let's do the other connection. This will be a proper thing though. That's good, and that will enable us to carry. Whoa, 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 whoa! What is it talking about? This will enable us to take wood down to Albany or wherever we like. So there we go. So that's much better. 3%. All right. So now we're back moving. Let's. Oh, can we buy it? Let's bid, and we'll get. Do we want to? Nah, let's not. He can have a gloat. He can keep the mail car. We'll just invent it the old-fashioned way later on, and then we'll buy his company, and we'll take all his technology anyway. So let him do the work. Okay, we're gonna build some trains from this station down to New York City Freight, but we haven't built a gridiron. So good on me. There we go, and let's build supply towers. Haven't done that either. So a supply tower up here will do. Actually, supply tower up here will do, and we'll need to put one back here because we demolished that one up here when I set up the freight line. So we've still got some here. We've got one on there. Let's put one on here as well, and that one is covering that fruit tree line. So there we go. Now trains, boom. Cook Station, New York Freight. We want one with you, not you. So one freight. This is an F1 wool train. F1 wool. We only need one, so that'll do. Confirm, and it's away. Now we will also get a wood train going. So that to that to that. Not you, you. We want tops. Let's do F1 wood. Let's make it a Dunham and one and freight and boom. So that's away. Now we've already built the engine maintenance depot, so that's good. And we built a warehouse as well. So what do we want in the warehouse? Let's figure it out later. So Albany's grown some more, so we're up to 122,000. Boston is not going to grow anymore, but we do have bottlenecks at all of our factories. So we need to start thinking about upgrading our factories. Let's check. New York is growing, so we're up to 46,000 now. We're fulfilling our products. So we've got wheat, corn, wood, meat. We don't have beer, but that's because our beer factories are sort of at their limits, I'd suspect. We need sugar, so we can run a sugar train into New York. We've got plenty of milk, we've got fruit, we've got veggies. So we've got heaps, but let's run a sugar train. Let's check our sugar farm down here. How are we going there? So we've got a little bit of capacity, and we can afford to run. Actually, let's just put on another sugar train to Boston, and that will hopefully pick up. Hopefully, there'll be enough sugar in Boston to come back to New York on an F2 freight train. It'll just pick it up because it knows it needs it. So we've got a pause here. So that one's running empty. That's a shame. But we're running empty because we're running short of inputs into our production facilities. So let's have a look at our beer, our brewery. So we got a level 2 brewery. You can see we've almost made back the investment that we put into it. So let's upgrade that to a level 3 brewery. We need to spend $840,000. I'm going to do it. We'll earn almost $17,000 a week, so it won't take us that long to win that back. Now we can also bring in mail cars. So our next progression will be this engine. Now to take advantage of the mail car, I'll need to go through every express train that there is and add them on there. So I'll show you that. So we've got these express trains here. So if I go into edit rail line, and now you can see this it doesn't have the padlock symbol over the top of it. I'm going to add that on there, but it's going to cost $40,000. So the payback on those will come, but it will take a while. Now it's costing 40 grand because there were 2 trains, so usually they're 20 grand each. So I will add these on a couple, and maybe I'll go through off camera and add those on later. So that way we're not hogging screen time with monotonous chores. So I'm looking after your audience. That's what we're attempting to do here. Now we're growing with double arrows, so that's really great. So that's excellent. Now what else do we need to do? We can. That's a level 1, but we've still got plenty of stock in there. We just made this level 2. We need more planks. Yeah, we need more meat. So we've got a level 2 meat up there. This meat is level 1, so let's make that a level 2. Can you believe that we demolished the original level 1 earlier? But anyway, we live and learn. So there's that. Now, something that I'll talk to is our passenger terminal in Boston. For the future, one of our goals is to have an express line from Philadelphia to Boston. And so what I want to do is I want to establish New York City Express Station with a bypass track. So I'll set up platforms 7 and 8 as bypass tracks. So that way they can run straight from Philly past New York and into Boston. And so where I'm going with this is each of our platforms are going to be dedicated to a specific city. So we already had planned to dedicate platform 1 to New York. Platform 2 is for Portland coming from the north. Platform 3 is currently Albany, and so on and so forth. So what I was thinking to do was to change platform 3 to New York, platform 1 to Philadelphia. Let's have a look at our quarterly balance. So our numbers are up. You can see freight's up, passengers are up, mail's up, production's up. Yeah, we're really starting to build up rev pretty easily. So interest, we paid 33 grand in interest, so it's not a massive cost that we're incurring from interest, but it is still good to get rid of debt. But anyway, back to what I was talking about with the station. Essentially, I'm going to move the Albany position further out, and then the other thing I was thinking about was we don't need free connections on the northern side of Boston because there's just not enough cities that we're running destinations to. So I'll keep the two. So Portland will have its own designated platform, and Bangor will have its own designated platform. But that will mean that we'll have a fourth platform on the south side of Boston. So we'll look at trying to squeeze that in. So one of the things to squeeze it in is I'll fiddle around with these tracks a little bit. So the second platform 1 track I'm going to put on the outside here, and I'll start to explain things as I go. But we're going to have a main line which sort of curves around to the south here for New York and Philadelphia. And then we'll have a main line coming from this way, which can separate before this New York line comes on. So the Albany line, I'll give it dedicated tracks to run parallel from all the way back here. And then that way there won't be any any overlap. So then so I don't want to explain any more than that. I think we'd be getting ahead of ourselves if I do more than that. Now the other note to say, Boston and Albany Railway, we're worth $70 million. So actually, let's go in and get rid of some of our debt. So we've got that. Let's get rid of it. Done. So we're debt free, loving life. We'll build up cash pretty quickly. But what I was going to do for Boston, well, before I start building track at Boston, let's check New York City one more time. We're up to 51,000, so that's got to tick up a little bit more. So let's modify the station in Boston. So what I'm going to do is, let's turn the topography on. I'm going to run a parallel track along the outside here, and I'll just run it to there. And then I'm going to demolish, I'll do this on pause. I'm going to demolish that one. And connect into, so that way the trains are going to run on this outside alignment here. I know it's a bit messy at the minute, but it will come good. Let's do it from this end as well. So that, so you see here how I'm realigning these tracks to, so we've still got platform 1, we've still got platform 3. All right, we finally got that part working. Okay, so what I've done, and it's taken a bit of fluffing around, but I've created the New York track, and this will be the Philadelphia track. Platform 5 here is going to be the Albany track, but I'm going to run it from this central section of track here into here. And then our bypass will actually be one more track over because we're going to have a connection into platform 6 from this side as well. So, but for the time being, these tracks here are working as intended. So I'll have a join that comes off from here, and we'll run it through the supply tower here, and we'll make our Albany connection, and you know, our other connection will be for, say, Syracuse or one of those other cities further to the west. So let's do that now. Can be a pretty straightforward connection. So just it will just be a bit of earthworks. And so once we do this, we'll need to reset the Albany trains as well in their description. So that goes like that, that goes like that, and this will run. So let's adjust that now. So that's not going to there. So this will go into there. So, and this will hopefully make sense what I'm doing. So we've got New York, Philadelphia, Albany, and then this track here is going to be our Syracuse line. So we can run that straight in. This can be taken off. Actually, we need to take it back further. So that will be able to run into our platform platform 6. So platform 6 runs all the way back to here, well, the track for platform 6, and we can have that join back onto here. So, but let's join it back on. Like I'll need to chop these tracks back further. And then now our bypass line, we're going to run, our bypass line will need to start beyond where our track separates. And ideally it would be on a straight section as well. So let's run it all the way back to here, and it's going to need to come back all the way to there. So it's a bit far, but it's just too bad. So bypass track, we can stop there for now. And the other modification that we need to make is I'll just need to say chop that there, and this one can follow this alignment into there, and this one can follow into there, and we'll put the direction of travel on. And there we go. That is our full express train entry into Boston. And so the adjustment that we can make on this side is we won't need that platform 6 approach anymore from this side, because we won't have trains running into there. So each train has its own platform and destination. So if we were to go to the not demolish, if we were to go to the trains now that run out of here, and we go to Boston, New York, or Boston to New York. In Boston, we've selected platform 1, and if we were to zoom out, you can see it's running to there. Now we'd need to change the Albany train. Not that. We need to change the Albany train to platform 5. So platform 5, you can see it's going to take the train on our detour out here, and it's going to run through this alignment here. Now, if we set it for platform 6, it would still run along here, but then it would sort of take a different path on this approach here. So that's our train. So let's change that to platform 5 and confirm that. So we'll be able to run more and more trains. Let's run 6 trains on that line now. We'll be able to run more trains with our station set up there. So let's run the game time to build up capacity. We'll be coming up to look at that fulfillment of demand, 97%. That's bloody good. Witness this, folks. That is not bad, if I do say so. Boston Albany railroad wins poll. Yep, we're winning the polls. Is anybody getting sick of winning? We're meeting all the demand. Other railways, terrible. All right, guys. Well, look, on that note, I'm going to wrap up the video for now. So this has been episode 9. Please remember to like and subscribe. Please comment and tell us what your thoughts are on this episode. Tell us what you think of this intricate setup here. And yeah, I read all the comments. So thank you, and remember, with small bites, every pie can be eaten. Thank you.